quick update. The way,
Hold on,
well, it's not earth-shattering. Apparently, the Maryland is one of the only state attorneys general that does not prosecute criminal activity, as in murder convictions or murder cases. That is the sole responsibility of the state's attorney that's located in the county. So I do have a contact inside the Attorney General's office located in Baltimore. Maryland is also the only state in the Union that does not have the Attorney General's office located in the capital. But I do have a contact and a meeting, hopefully, with a Raquel Guillory in Baltimore soon to discuss how the Attorney General's office is going to handle this and possibly do the investigation. But also the a state attorney located in Elkton, which is also handling this investigation, we know, in Cecil County. So that's our update, and Dan Friedman was very polite and cordial and thanked us for stopping by. Unfortunately, this is out of his jurisdiction.
Do we have the addresses or the location?
We do, and that's being forwarded to my email address, and I'd be happy to forward that on as well and let you know completely how this investigation is progressing. But at this point, the Attorney General's office does seem amicable to an investigation, but unfortunately, this sort of investigation at this office is out of his control.
So we promote letter writing or emails to the...
Well, we're going to continue to ask and press for the Attorney General to do something, whatever is within its power. But also, it looks like the state's attorney is really handling this criminal investigation, and we're going to be pressing on them. And it would encourage people to be contacting the state attorney's office in Cecil County.
What do you expect to come out of this case?
I expect criminal proceedings. At the very least, there should be some sort of homicide, gross negligence, substandard care practices, patient abandonment issues, maybe even criminal neglect. In fact, we've seen cases as recently as yesterday in Hyannis, Massachusetts, where Rapin Ostenhoth was convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to 3 years probation and 3 months in jail, and was forced to pay $2 million in fines for something, for a botched abortion, even to a lesser degree than this, other than the fact that the patient died. In other words, it wasn't a botched abortion as much as it was simply neglect to monitor the anesthesia. This is clearly a horrific crime, and the only reason the patient lived, as I said, was the heroic actions of the medical staff at the emergency room.
We're talking about the crossing of state lines and the committing of crimes. I mean, doesn't this involve the federal agencies?
It's possible, and we have very little hope that the Holder administration will investigate this, but we have reached out to the U.S. Attorney. We're also looking into the New Jersey side, because this abortion was begun in New Jersey, where it's illegal, and then brought across state lines to Maryland to complete the abortion, where an unlicensed physician doing medicine is a felony. So clearly there are a multitude of laws that potentially have been broken, and that's why we insist on the criminal investigation to be pursued hard and promptly.
Can you describe the process and what you're talking about as far as this case goes? I mean, we've read about it, but what are we talking about? What happened from point A to point Z on this?
Well, it's almost too horrific to even discuss in polite company, but you have a situation where a late-term abortion on a woman 22 weeks post-viability was begun in New Jersey. The following day, they're transported by private vehicle, very dangerous, to Elkton, Maryland. And once the procedure was begun, the testimony, in deposition, the former physician, Nicola Riley, testified under deposition that she first pulled an arm, and then she pulled a leg off, and then pulled the woman's bowel. And at that point, spent 2 hours trying to repair that situation before they finally, under a tremendous amount of pain, almost unconscious, the patient DB was then transported to the local emergency room and dropped off, literally like a piece of trash, and no follow-up care was given. And if it weren't for the very prompt and hasty actions of the medical staff at this hospital transporting this woman via life flight to Johns Hopkins University, the patient DB would be deceased today. And so in a nutshell, that's what it was. This is a complication that we see again and again and again that's covered up in abortion clinics across the nation. Patients die from this regularly. We see it, and we're happy that the medical license have been revoked, but we're not going to stop until these men wind up behind bars.
And similarly, a similar case happened in 2006, right here in Severna Park, right here in Anne Arundel County, where a woman, same thing, too much anesthesia as in Massachusetts. Too much anesthesia, no monitoring of medical vital signs, and when they realized her lips were blue, which is how they figured out there was a problem, no oxygen was given. She was taken to Anne Arundel Medical Center where they were unable to save her, and she did die, and she left a 3-year-old boy orphaned. So that is why we're also pushing not only for Brigham and these other doctors in Maryland, but Romeo, Ferrer, criminal charges as well, because it did result in death. And Massachusetts has shown us that there is hope of repercussions for these abortionists that don't seem to follow the same laws and scrutiny that other medical practitioners do.
I would just simply add that I think we in the pro-life movement, the sanctity of human life movement, have reached a tipping point where we're beginning to see the inside of the abortion industry and the horrific practices, the terrible standard of care that women are getting. And it endangers not only the baby, which we have focused on for the past 40 years, but terrible injuries have been forced upon the women receiving abortions, including even death. And so now in 2010, these issues, these cases are coming to light, unfortunately at the expense of women's lives and injuries. But I'm hoping to see these horrific circumstances propel us to ultimate victory in the pro-life movement, where we abolish abortion in America, because you can make it legal, but you can never make it safe.
It is my, guess or assumption that the medical board said, we need to do something about these guys, and oh, by the way, there's this Ferrer thing that people have been talking about. We should probably take care of this too. So who knows what would have happened to Ferrer if Brigham hadn't started this, if they hadn't found 35 frozen fetuses in an Elkton office in an abortion facility that was secret, according to the doctors that practice there. And this coming from a man whose medical license is suspended and revoked in Pennsylvania, New York, California, hopefully in New Jersey, and didn't have a license in Maryland.
Yeah, it almost seems as if being an abortionist, somehow it's almost like diplomatic immunity.
Yeah.
I mean, because they certainly don't have the same responsibilities, and they don't have the same laws applied to them as everyone else does.
Right.
And this is an issue that affects everyone in the world. I mean, with 50 million abortions around the world every single year, this is obviously one of the biggest issues in all of mankind.
Yeah.
There really is none other that is bigger. And why is it that so much of the population, maybe many of you folks out there, don't do anything to help end abortion?
Well, I think it's changing. As Troy said during the press conference here, I think we're getting close to a tipping point. And I mean, when's the last time you heard the word abortion on Channel 13 or Channel 11 or in the Baltimore Sun, unless they were talking about anti-abortion extremists and terrorists and all that kind of stuff. So they picked up on the story. Unfortunately, a woman almost died. They picked up on the story, and we're uncovering the immunity and the dirt and the protection that's been piled upon this industry for so long. Even the National Organization of Women and some of the feminist groups that generally support these abortionists have come out and said, we're not touching that. You should go ahead and investigate that guy Brigham. He's a danger, right? Well, unfortunately, it many others as well. So I think you're starting to see it in the public. There is a change. Obviously, the Gallup polls we've talked about since the middle of 2009 that have shown that more people in the United States are starting to call themselves pro-life than ever before. The youngest generation is just the most pro-life ever. 60% of the younger generation believes that it's a moral wrong. Whether they agree with the legality of it or not, that's another step in the direction. But 60%, 6 out of 10 believe it's a big number. And 51% of people polled by Gallup. this isn't, this isn't a pro-life organization. This isn't a Christian organization or a religious organization. Gallup, they're the guys that do the political polls, and I think it's 3 polls straight now they've had a pro-life majority. So
yeah, well, I think there are more people getting involved, and when I ask the question, why is it that people don't? Some of the things that you're saying is that there's more information getting out.
It is.
People are becoming more aware, and there are more of you who are watching this who are saying, wow, I can't just be on the sidelines anymore. There is that necessity for people to get involved.
There is.
So how do they find out more about what you're doing?
Well, we have a website, www.livinghopeforlife.org, and we really are trying to position ourselves as an outlet for information. We participate in events, but we really try to pump out information. We work with you, Peter, and Pro-Life Unity, and getting videos and information and education, and we speak at schools, and we teach people the stuff that no one ever talks about. So, livinghopeforlife.org, we have tons and tons and tons of links there to all different organizations. Depending on what you want to do or find out, if you want to get involved, we have a whole section on how to get involved and what you can do. 40 Days for Life is coming up September 22nd through October 31st. Peaceful, prayerful vigil. It is the most transforming thing you can do for yourself and the community. It's peaceful, it's prayerful. You pray for the end of abortion and for the conversion of the abortionists and for the women and everything. So it's really great. So check that out, 40daysforlife.com, livinghopeforlife.org.
Yeah, well, it's up to us. If we don't do it,
well, let's do it.
Let's do it. We're doing it. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Peter. Appreciate it.
All right.